YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, back on Total War Rome 2. And this is actually going to be against the same opponent that I played last time. He was the Seleucids last time. This is the Battle of Seleucia, so don't be confused about that. This time he's playing as Rome, and I picked Egypt. Man, your army's looking pretty pathetic there. He actually readied up before I was ready, and I couldn't decide what I wanted to bring. And so I actually had about, well, I'd have to do the math to figure it out, but I know that I had at least several hundred talents left, and I want to say it was closer to like 500. I mean, we can add it up real quick. So I've got 6 thorax swords. Let me go in here and just add this up. So there's 710, so 6 times 710 is 4260, plus my royal thorax swordsmen were like 12 something. I'll just say 1280 for the sake of argument. Plus, so all that together was 5540. 2 cheap archers is like 500. So that'll put it at 6,000. 2 Ptolemaic calves, so that's 2,600. So, and then citizen calves 540 times 2. So, yeah, 1080. And plus 1080, so yeah, that's 7,800. And then I've got Tarentine calves like another 1,000. I don't know if I added it all up right. It's saying like 8,000 something, which means I'd be missing 3,000 talents. And maybe I am, because I think I have it right there as far as my count. I could be missing something. Anyway, I'm missing a pretty considerable amount of men here. I can go rebuild the army. I don't even know why I'm doing this. I'll go rebuild the army that I had here whenever I get done, so you can see what I was missing, and that way I don't misinform you and potentially try and make myself look better or something like that, or worse. Obviously, it was stupid that I didn't get all my forces chosen, but hey, I sometimes get distracted thinking about what I want to do, and just didn't notice that my opponent had readied up. So in any case, I'm a little bit outmatched here. My opponent's army is going to come into view. You can already see he has a Praetorian cav here, supported by 2 auxiliary cav, which is actually a pretty substantial cav force as far as the Romans are concerned. My Ptolemaic cav 1v1 would crush any of this stuff, I think. It'd be a tough fight against the Praetorians because that would grind out for a while. But I mean, my citizen cav's not superior to anything that he has out here right now. He's got several Balearic slingers. I want to say 4 of them. Yeah, so he's got 5. Yeah, he's got 5, or no, one's a levy. So 4 Balearic slingers, 1 levy. His main line is legionary cohorts. And then he's got another Praetorian cav. Some of his units aren't visible, just because I'm not in a good position to scout out his whole army. Give me just a second. Okay, yeah, sorry, I was looking at a message real quick. So, yeah, anyway, that's the army that we can see from my opponent. I was basically expecting that he was mirroring his cavalry on the other flank. And I moved off the hill, he moved off the hill, which was good, because if he had stayed on the hill, there wasn't really a whole lot of way I could bring him down from it with just 2 Egyptian archers. I would have chosen more archers had time been favorable to me. And some of you might be wondering, Air, why would you bring swords against Rome? Their swords are better. Yes, their swords are better. I honestly didn't even take a look to see. Oh yeah, Egypt can't field hoplites, I don't think. So swords are one of your best options with Egypt. Why thorax swords? Just because I figured they'd be the sturdiest here. And then why did you bring a royal thorax swordsman instead of like a royal peltist or a Galatian royal guard? I don't know, I just wanted to try these guys. I've hardly ever used them. Their attack is not really blazing for an elite sword. Their weapon damage is quite good. Their melee defense is good, armor's good, and everything else is good there. So, and they have a pretty sturdy charge bonus too for formation attack unit. So not something you typically see. Anyway, this battle is gonna be a little bit longer than normal probably, because we have to reposition all the way over here. And I go ahead and send some cavalry over here. He's seen this Ptolemaic cav, I'm pretty sure, but I was leaving it hidden just for a moment. I'm gonna pull it out in just a second. And I'm going to bring some Tarentine cav and citizen cav, really just trying to lure his men up the hill and away from the flank of his army. My opponent really has an advantage here as far as I see it. So if you look at the cav stack up, let's say that I just went 1 for 1 with him, like just knocked it out. He's going to bust through my Tarentine cav pretty quick and then be able to get to my back line. Well, let's say that I just go, 2 on 3 here. Ptolemaic cav will do fine. Citizen cav will get wrapped up. Even if I'm throwing javelins from my Tarentines, eventually my opponent will probably beat me down in that fight. So I can't just expect to engage his cavalry on the flanks, win, and then come in for a rear charge. But nor can I expect to win a skirmishing fight, because I didn't get to spend all of my talents, and even then I probably wouldn't have won it. And nor can I expect to win an infantry fight, because his infantry's better. So what am I going to do? And that's pretty much what I'm thinking about here. I've got to find some advantage over my opponent. I noticed that infantry-wise, my thorax swords match his numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and pull my royal thorax swordsman to this flank, and then just leave my thorax swords in the center, spread a little wider. And I start to come up with a plan here. It's going to start with some harassment of his cavalry. See how he's guarding his flank here? He's not going to let me get around his flank. So I'm going to start harassing his men with a few javelins, basically. I do not want to waste my javelins on cheap cav units, so I'm trying to move into a position where my javelins throw only at his Praetorian cav. Because again, I mean, these javelins don't do a ton of damage to infantry or other stuff, so in the meantime, I'm gonna run a charge, an infantry charge, just get the fight started. I just want to engage his whole line, keep his whole line pinned down, and then again, I'm going to start harassing cavalry over here to try and lure him into a worse position. And here, I did take my Tarentines off a skirmish, probably a mistake, but skirmish doesn't work very well, so he is going to catch them. But I'm going to pull him back and lead my guys into a downhill charge. And then, as you can see over here, just using my Tarentine cav to harass his guys. So you can see that I'm now going to start pulling his cavalry back a little. Again, though, I think the skirmish actually was left on these guys, and they just sit here and take this charge because they were right next to the red line. So that's why I turned skirmish up over here, in case you're wondering. And then look at this. So this is the key. This is the key right here to my strategy. Sorry, I'm not going to pause it. I made it look like I was going to charge with my Ptolemaic cav and my citizen cav. So I start bringing both down the hill. I go ahead and follow through with the citizen cav and diamond to just try and make this last a little longer, plus I have the uphill. And then I pulled off my Ptolemaic cav, and I'm going to swing around over here for rear charges. If my opponent tries to disengage, my citizen cav is going to get to chase him. If he takes both units to disengage and stop me here, then I'm going to get to chase him, and I'll go ahead and run a charge in anyway, plus getting a few extra kills. That would be his best move, though. And but for now, though, you can see that I'm actually going to send this Royal Thorax Sword out here, and then just completely swing these guys around for rear charges. So that's going to be the only way for me to win this infantry fight. And I was trying to use an AI attack order. It didn't work perfectly, though. This unit right here, I kind of got a late order on it, but you can see the rest of my guys have proper charge orders here. So I already screwed up a little bit here with these Thorax Swords. But yeah, in any case, again, you can see here I did the same thing. Bunched up all three of his cav units with two very much inferior ones. And then I'm going to start shooting arrows in there as well. So this is just going to be extra kills for me. And then again, swing this around for a rear charge. So the most dangerous cav unit I had was my Ptolemaic cav. And my opponent, I guess, fell for the bait and switch here, where I switched my citizen cav, which would have been worthless in a rear charge against his legionaries. And then got my Ptolemaic cav in a perfect position to charge his men. Now his levies did get in my way here, which is annoying because I had a charge order clicked on his men, so it's going to slow down my charge. Plus I'm not really going to get any kills because I hadn't clicked the charge on the levies. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull through them, not concerned about them. And then here I ran in an early hammer and anvil charge with my Ptolemaic cav. His general did Warcry, but you can see there that I just clobbered the Romans from behind at this point. And you'll watch their numbers drop here. If you get a good charge, you should drop on the first charge at least 10 of them. If you stick around longer, you can probably knock out 20. It depends on how clean your charge is. The general partially intercepted my charge. Over here you can see that I got about 30 kills with the Ptolemaic cav, so this one's already up to now almost 100 kills because I got into his Polaric Slingers. And that's what I did. So I took my Ptolemaic cav here. His general was chasing me. That's why this one took more losses. But you can see that I've pretty much wrapped up most of his slingers at this point. And my opponent's just now kind of figuring out, hey, I need to be in his back lines too. So he starts to chase my archers for a second over here, but still has two cav units bunched up into one inferior one here. And then again, he left his two cav units here until my Royal Thorax Swords came from behind and cut down his Praetorian cav, which was otherwise highly superior. So big mistake on my opponent's part, but the fight is not over yet. His Roman infantry is definitely superior to my own, and it is winning the fight all across the line, except where I'm making the rear charges. So, and it's taking several rear charges to get rid of his legionaries. So yeah, his legionaries are holding out really well. Even here where I made the rear charge, the fight's pretty much even. Here, after two rear charges, these legionary cohorts are ready to die. And then this Ptolemaic cav's still mopping up auxiliary Balearic Slingers. He should have run away with one of these units. So, like for instance right here, leave one to die, move away with the other, and then start shooting back into my cavalry. And here he spent a lot of time chasing these archers, which weren't going to make a huge effect on the battle. He really needs to be bringing in rear charges here. And he finally gets this cavalry free from my bait and switch. But at this point, look at it. I've got a Royal Thorax Swords here untouched. His general's about to die. I've wrapped up one, now almost two legionary cohorts on this flank. So definitely not a fight that's over, but it's a fight that's going to really be hard for my opponent to win. I'm able to turn around, put these guys in shield wall, even get a little bit of javelins. Getting the javelins off was probably bad in the end, though, because my men were unbraced. But that's just an auxiliary cav. It's not going to be nearly as damaging as a rear charge from, say, a shot cavalry. So damaging, it's going to look really punishing, but it's definitely not going to be as much teeth to it as a charge from shot cavalry from behind. And again, so look, now my opponent's committed this cavalry unit. It's getting cut down. And I'm just going to bring my general back, swing around this way, and then as soon as I finish mopping up this cav, I'll bring this infantry this way, and I'll keep trying to pincer the Roman infantry. This Praetorian cav comes and charges me again. He's got a lot of Praetorian cav left here. It's actually going to be kind of hard to handle. And I have a citizen cav that rear charged these guys, but again, citizen cav's not very good. I'm really doing it mostly for the morale penalty. You can see that it's definitely helping to drop the morale of the Roman units, plus their general died. So yeah, still a very close fight. And again, I'm going to charge his Praetorian cav with this Ptolemaic cav. I really got to take these guys out. I don't want them to escape the late game, because they could charge, retreat until my men were dead, I think. But my Ptolemaic cav at this point is quite tired. I have well over 200 kills on both, though, so it's been worth it. I just need to mop up as much of that Praetorian cav as I can. And again, here, see his cavalry is going to charge my Royal Thorax Swords. I probably should have braced, but it'll be all right. I took my men out of formation attack as well, just so that they could break up and cut down the enemy auxiliary cav. And over here, you can see this auxiliary cav is going to die. And now I have two more Thorax Sword units free, and so I'm going to split them down either side of the remaining enemy troops. And my opponent's busy trying to wrap up this unit here, and trying to wrap up my Ptolemaic cav, which ended up killing about 13 more of his Praetorian cav. Unfortunately, they're still alive. So at this point, I'm down to all infantry, but I still have my general. My opponent is down to infantry and some cavalry, which is dangerous, because that means that he could get his men regrouped and potentially start doing some hammer and anvil charges. So that's why you can see me splitting off here rather than just bunching in. I'm trying to split and come in so that his men can't really get out of this surrounding maneuver. And then I'm doing the same thing here. I'm trying to come around and keep his men surrounded. That way his cav can perform rear charges, but I won't be bunched up to where he can affect all of my units at once. And here we get to see a Royal Thorax Swords pretty much go head-to-head with a bunch of Roman infantry. My guys are superior, but it's really not the kind of fight that you want these type of swords to be in. And it's because Roman infantry is very cost-effective by nature. It doesn't mean that my guys can't win this head-to-head. It just means that this would be a lot better if I was up against, say, like a spear unit or something, probably, that had lower attack at least. Not necessarily an elite spear unit, you know what I mean? Something that had a lot lower attack than Roman swords. My guys do have much higher melee defense, though. His guys have higher melee attack. My guys have better damage. So what's going to happen in the long run is that his guys will have a harder time hitting mine, and mine will cause a little more damage when they hit. So his guys have a better chance of hitting. Plus, he has the numbers advantage. So anyway, you can see these two units, though, got rear charged by one of my other Thorax Swordsmen. And then I turned to brace against his cavalry, which had been out here mopping up this Thorax Swordsman. So at this point, all of his infantry here is wavering. But this one starts to stabilize because I wasn't able to finish them off quickly enough. These two, one shattered and one has routed, and I'm hoping it's going to shatter because if it comes back to the fight, it's really bad. Up to 107 kills on this Royal Thorax Swords. My men are exhausted because I had to use the whip to try and speed this fight up. It's always a danger, but I do have the second win ability. I just can't remember when I used it. No, never mind. I use the whip, and I don't have the second wind ability. I actually recommend if you're going to have a unit like Cataphracts for a general, the second wind ability is pretty handy. Use the whip just became available again, I think, which makes your men temporarily fresh while they're fighting. And so you can see that gives my men a boost while that unit ability is active, and you can see it makes a big difference. I start cutting down legionaries pretty fast there, and they rout. then my opponent is left with only this Praetorian Cav, which is now getting slowly cut down by my Thorax Swordsman. And I have to make sure, though, that this Legionary cohort's going to be completely gone. I don't want them to come back from routing and give that Legionary Cav a chance to come for a rear charge, so you can see that they're now dead, and his Praetorian Cav starts to waver. My men are very tired, though, but his men are also very tired. Very close fight this time. Again, I didn't get to spend all of my money. Let's go see how much I had left. So 2 Tarentines, 2 Ptolemaics, 6 Thorax Swords. Okay, let's go over and check that out real quick. So let's see. Egypt. So my general was a Royal Thorax Swords. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I had 2 Egyptian archers. And then I had 2 Ptolemaic Cav. And 2 Tarentine Cav, 2 Citizen Cav. So I was left with 810 talents. Not a huge deficit, but that's basically a whole nother unit that I could have put on the battlefield. And obviously that would have been extremely handy, or I could have put, like, say, 2 of these cheap Levy Thurio Spears just for helping out on the flanks with Cav fights or something like that, which means that my Royal Thorax Sword would have not had to go into the Cav fight against the Praetorian Cav, could have technically gone around to flank, I could have had more archers. Whatever it be, you know, you can see that it would have been a little helpful. So that's what the difference was there. Not a huge difference. But kind of cool that I was able to still win that, though, and I didn't finish picking my army. I was pretty happy with that, although it was extremely close. You can see that fighting those Roman units head-to-head, it won't happen instantly, but they will win. And some people were worried, I think, that the Romans were going to be way too nerfed in this patch. I don't think they're nerfed. Their infantry is very good. Very good. Yes, hoplites are stronger and all that kind of stuff, but Roman infantry is still very good. Yeah, I mean, so anyway, that's just my 2 cents. I don't want to get into too much more discussion about it. I'll let you all talk about it in the comments. Hope you all enjoyed it. HeirofCarthage, signing off for now.